You know that moment when you're at a party, surrounded by people, laughing, talking, connecting, and you just feel nothing? Like you're watching everything through glass, present, but somehow not really there. Smiling when you're supposed to smile, nodding when you're supposed to nod, but inside, there's this quiet exhaustion that showed up before you even walked through the door. I used to think something was wrong with me, that I was broken in some invisible way, that maybe I was antisocial, maybe too cold, maybe just not built for connection the way everyone else seemed to be. I would watch other people move through conversations so easily, collecting friendships like it was second nature, while I stood there wondering why even simple social moments felt like heavy lifting. Then I started digging into the research. Not just a few articles, but dozens of studies from places like Harvard and Stanford, research on personality, emotional processing, and human connection. And what I found completely changed how I saw myself. Turns out, if you struggle to make or keep deep friendships, you might not be broken at all. You might just have one of a few rare psychological traits that science says makes deep connection harder. Not impossible, just harder. And that difference matters more than you think. So stay with me, because what we're about to uncover goes deeper than surface level personality labels. This isn't about being shy or introverted. It's about how your brain and nervous system might be wired to experience the world differently than most people around you. Let's start with the first one. And honestly, this one hit me the hardest. Deep processing. If you've ever analyzed a single text message for 20 minutes, replayed a conversation in your head 3 days later, or noticed small shifts in someone's tone that nobody else seemed to catch, your brain isn't broken. It's busy. Here's what the science actually shows. Brain imaging studies suggest that some people process significantly more information during social interactions. More details, more subtleties, more possible meanings hidden inside a single exchange. While most people are simply having a conversation, you might be playing social chess in your mind. Reading tone, tracking facial expressions, predicting outcomes before they even happen, thinking 3 moves ahead without even realizing it. And that level of processing is exhausting. It's why small talk can feel like running a marathon inside your head. It's why casual interactions sometimes drain you faster than intense ones. Because your brain isn't skimming the surface. It's diving deep every single time. But here's the reframe that changed everything for me. You're not overthinking. You're deep processing. And depth has never been designed for a surface-level connection. And when your mind is built for depth, something else naturally begins to shift. You stop chasing numbers and you start searching for meaning. This leads us to the second trait, quality over quantity. If you've ever looked at someone with dozens of friends and quietly wondered how they keep up with all of it, you're not alone. Maybe you've been told you should put yourself out there more, or that having only a few close people somehow means you're missing out. Maybe you've even questioned yourself, wondering if you're doing friendship the wrong way. But here's something most people never hear. The longest running study on human happiness, known as the Harvard Grant Study, followed participants for over 75 years. And what it revealed wasn't that happiness came from having more relationships. It came from having deeper ones. Not crowded calendars, not constant interaction. Depth. And researcher Jeff Hall found something even more revealing. It takes roughly 200 hours of meaningful interaction to turn someone into a close friend. 200 hours. That's not a quick coffee. That's not a few messages exchanged late at night. That's time, presence, repetition. So when you find yourself with 2 or 3 deeply trusted people instead of 20 casual ones, you're not falling behind. You're investing. Because people who value depth don't hand out the title of friend easily. They build it slowly, carefully, intentionally. And while that can make your social circle look smaller from the outside, it often makes it stronger from the inside. But here's where things get heavier than most people realize. Because if depth determines how you connect, sensitivity determines how intensely you experience that connection. This brings us to the third trait, heightened sensitivity. Psychologist Dr. Elaine Aron found that roughly 15 to 20% of the population falls into what she called highly sensitive individuals. And brain research supports this. These individuals often show increased activity in areas related to empathy, awareness, and emotional processing. What this means in real life is surprisingly simple, but incredibly powerful. While others might experience a conversation at standard volume, you're hearing it at full intensity. Every pause, every hesitation, every subtle change in someone's expression. It's like living in emotional high definition, where nothing is truly background noise. And at first glance, this can feel like a burden, because it means crowded rooms feel louder, conflicts feel sharper, and emotional tension lingers longer than you'd like. It means you notice discomfort before it's spoken. You sense distance before it's admitted. But here's the part that often changes how people see themselves. Sensitivity is not weakness. It's early detection. Long before modern society existed, sensitivity helped humans survive. The ones who noticed small changes in their environment were the ones who reacted faster. The ones who sensed danger before it was obvious were the ones who stayed alive. And even now, that same sensitivity allows you to read situations others walk blindly into. But there is a hidden cost to living this aware. Because when you feel more, you also need more time to recover. And when recovery becomes necessary, something else slowly begins to develop. A kind of independence that most people misunderstand. This leads us to the fourth trait. Self-sufficiency. Not the kind that pushes people away, but the kind that allows you to stand steady, even when no one is holding you up. If you've ever felt comfortable being alone without feeling lonely, if you've noticed that you don't constantly need reassurance to feel secure, people may have misread you. They might have called you distant, reserved, maybe even hard to read. But what's actually happening is quieter than that. Some people learn, either through temperament or life experience, how to generate their own sense of stability. Instead of looking outward every time something feels uncertain, they look inward. Instead of depending on constant validation, they build quiet confidence from within. And in a world where many people rush into relationships to escape loneliness, self-sufficiency can look confusing from the outside. Because you don't chase connection out of desperation, you choose it with intention. But there is another layer beneath this independence, one that explains why some connections feel harder to trust, even when you want them to work. Which brings us to the fifth trait, trust wounds. This one isn't just about how you're wired, it's about what you've lived through. Somewhere along the way, you may have learned that people don't always stay. Maybe someone important was physically present, but emotionally absent. Maybe trust was given and broken. Maybe you opened up once and paid the price for it. And your brain did exactly what it was designed to do. It remembered. Research into attachment and early relational experiences shows that inconsistent trust teaches the nervous system to stay alert, to watch, to scan for patterns, to hesitate before leaning in too quickly. Not because you're weak, because you're protecting something valuable. And here's where the most important distinction lives. There is a difference between protecting yourself and hiding from connection altogether. One is wisdom. The other is fear wearing the mask of safety. So the real question isn't whether you're capable of connection. It's whether you're allowing space for the right connections to grow, even if it takes time. Because depth was never meant to be rushed. And the truth most people never say out loud is this: